What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another New World video. Now today we're going to be talking about the announcement or trailer that we got for New World at Summer Games Fest 2024. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link to it in the description down below, but to save you the click, there wasn't really that much of substance that was announced other than the big confirmations or big announcements that the game is indeed coming to Xbox and PlayStation. There will be crossplay between Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. The game is now going to be called New World Eternum rather than just New World. We'll talk about that a little bit later on and what it might mean. The release date is going to be October 15th, which feels pretty flippin' far away as a New World content creator, but yeah, October 15th of this year for the Xbox and PlayStation release. And it's not going to be free-to-play. At the end of it, they say that you can pre-order the game in order to get a mount. If you pre-order, that would suggest you're paying money. So yeah, no free-to-play for New World, instead just a console release with a release date and a name change for the game. However, of course, just leaving the video at that and saying, all right, there we go, that was the news, doesn't feel like it's even worth making this one. So I'm going to take a little bit more of a deep dive. I have watched through the video several times now and talk about some other interesting things that I noticed in the video, starting with one of the first clips where we see a group of 3 players fighting against a new type of enemy. In my opinion, these resemble mostly spiders. They do appear to be in the Elysian Wilds area, and we've never really seen a spider enemy before in New World. A common complaint, or at least back in the day, one of the complaints about New World isn't really much in the way of mob diversity. The enemies are all kind of copy-paste, but yeah, spider enemy, brand new type. Maybe it's going to contain some sort of annoying CC that roots you to the ground. Could be a lot of fun, but, you know, confirmation that they have at least added one new type of enemy to the game. A little bit on into the video, and we get this sort of swooshing camera that flies into the Shattered Obelisk in Everfall. And then we see what appears to be some sort of boss fight. Now, this could just be a new dungeon, but it has been suggested in the past, and there's been a bit of data mining to suggest that there is going to be a raid. Now, in pretty much all of the clips throughout the video, there's only like 3 players featured. So I don't know if this is hinting at the fact that a lot of content is going to be like 3-man groups instead of 5-man, or it's a metaphor for PC and Xbox and PlayStation all playing together, or it just, you know, they couldn't get too many people in on the shot. I don't really know, but either way, I'm hoping that this is a glimpse at a raid boss fight. It wouldn't really be much of a raid with 3 players, but it does seem to resemble Medusa somewhat. And again, there has been confirmation in the past, or at least a lot of data mining to suggest that there is going to be a raid added to the game. A few seconds later, we get to see some footage of players swimming. Swimming is something that they teased about a month ago, but here it actually is. We get to see the swimming animation. Again, whether there's anything more to do with swimming, whether you can dive, there's some sort of materials related to it, there's a trade skill, we still don't know, but it is actually, for the first time, we've seen somebody swimming in New World instead of just walking along the bottom of the ocean. We also get a few clips of the sandworm as well. Now, I noticed that during these clips, the sandworm is not inside the arena that it's normally in. It appears to be outside the arena. However, this isn't the first time that Amazon have done this in a trailer, so they could just be going with some sort of artistic license. But they have hinted again in the past that the sandworm raid is going to be getting reworked. I think this is something that needs to happen to the vast majority of content in New World. A lot of it is a bit stale at this point. You know, I think about Lazarus and how that hasn't changed in such a long time, that the final boss fight of Chardis really could do with a rework, because you just left click and that's basically it. So yeah, seeing the sandworm potentially get reworked, maybe it's going to be an open world encounter as well as an instance raid, could be kind of interesting. Towards the end of the trailer, we also get to see some players riding side by side on mounts, and I noticed on the right hand side, or maybe left hand side, I can't remember which side, there is a bear mount. We have seen some data mining for this, and yeah, finally a new mount type. More than a year after mounts were introduced to the game. So we've had the horse, lion, and wolf, but now we have a bear mount as well, and it does look pretty cool. Mounts in New World, for those of you not aware, don't really have any characteristics. It's not as if the bear has more HP or something like that. It is basically just a different visual. It'll have a slightly different animation, but technically there's no advantage between one mount and the other. And then coming up to the end of the video, again, we get the confirmation that the game's not going to be free to play because there is a pre-order. And of course, we get to see the New World Eternum screen as well with Captain Thorpe over there. I took a look through the video to see if there was any extra areas added to the map. Didn't seem obvious. I didn't see any clips of new weapons either. Honestly, it feels like this video was mostly just you know, the trailer for some marketing to let console players know that there's a new game coming to their platform. And I think for the existing New World player base, albeit there's not many of us, there wasn't really that much of substance in the video. I think for a deeper dive, and I believe it was always going to be this way, it's not as if Scott Lane was going to get up on the stage and talk for 30 minutes about a life staff rework and all of the new content, because, you know, people who have never seen New World before wouldn't have any idea what he's talking about. So yeah, it's just like a you know, hype marketing piece to let people know about New World Eternum. Speaking of which, why are they renaming the game? My belief is it's most likely just due to SEO. If you go and search New World Soundtrack on New World Podcast, on New World anything on YouTube and Google, sometimes you get like New World Order, like some conspiracy theory stuff, Illuminati, or you get the soundtrack for A Whole New World from Aladdin. You know, New World is used in a lot of different IPs. It is a phrase in and of itself, so the fact that they're just going to add the Eternum to the end of it, I think it's, again, mostly just to get better SEO on the game. But if we're being very optimistic, this could be like a new chapter. This could be the equivalent of Final Fantasy A Realm Reborn, where they're basically redoing the game, and it's effectively going to be a New World 2. I'm not entirely convinced if that's going to be the case. It's possible, but most likely to get further answers to these questions as to whether that is a raid that we saw, if there is going to be a new weapon, if there is going to be any new zones. We're going to have to wait until we get a developer video, a developer update video, and I do think we're going to see some of those coming out over the next few weeks. So, of course, I will keep you guys updated here on the YouTube channel with any news that comes out once we finally have more than just a console release date and a name change. I'll let you guys know, and we will be streaming New World almost every day, all the way on the run up until October 15th. So the last thing that I wanted to mention, in case anybody hasn't been actively paying attention to New World, which I think is important to know, is Amazon, in the current state of the game, is setting up server sharding or server layers, server channels. This is something that I think is very important as a step that they take as we move towards the console release. One thing that has been a perpetual problem with New World since the beginning is the servers. I've never seen worse server infrastructure and management for any MMO in the existence of any game. It is truly quite terrible. Their like solution for accommodating lots of players is just to keep making new server, new server, new server, new server, and you end up with all these sort of players segmented across. You know, I think at the release of the game, it was like something like 180 different servers or something like that. Maybe even more. And then as the game population dwindles, you just end up with a bunch of empty servers and they have to merge them together. And yeah, it's just, it's a bit of a mess. So this server sharding or layering, the idea is that if you have lots of players in one area, you just create like a separate instance of that area. Again, this is not new technology. We've seen it. I think like the first game to use it was Ultima Online back in like the 90s or something. But either way, the fact that New World is finally catching up with the modern age and adding this server sharding technology, it could mean that we can have a increased capacity on servers. And if we're very optimistic, it could mean that New World mega servers could be around the corner as well. And I think that would be tremendous. That would be such a huge boon to the game to get that in place before the console comes out. Anyway, that's some speculation and a little bit more of a deep dive on what we saw in the video. Again, I do believe more news is going to be coming out in the following weeks in the form of developer update videos. So if you want to see those, make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the like button. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.